Alright, welcome to the difficult average problems lesson. In this lesson we're just going to do 3 different problems. These are the higher difficulty problems, and while you're watching it you can pause the video to actually try the problem on your own. I'm going to go into the explanations. So let's take a look at the first one. I'm just going to move this up so you guys can see the first problem here. It says the average of 7 distinct positive integers is 16. What is the most amount of these numbers that can be greater than 16? Okay, so when we look at these numbers, it says what is the most amount. We want to start at the biggest number, right? So let's start at 7. Does it make sense if we have 7 distinct positive integers that all of them are greater than 16? That's like saying you got, your average grade in math was a 50, and you got 7 grades above a 50. It doesn't make sense, right? It's not possible. So that one's wrong right off the bat. Let's look at 6. So 6 numbers. So if we're picking B to be right, what does that mean? That means that 6 numbers can be greater than 16. And they're all distinct, so let's pick the numbers. Let's say they were 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. There's 6 numbers, right? And we're going to add x. That's going to be our missing number. All I'm doing here is I'm actually popping into the average formula. So the sum of all these numbers divided by 7, and again this is just the average formula, sum of everything divided by how many we have, and what did it say the average was? 16. So now let's simplify. I got my calculator here, so I'm just going to calculate as you guys do it. 17 plus 18 plus 19 plus 20 plus 21 plus 22 equals, so that's 117 plus x divided by 7 equals 16. 16 times 7 gives us 112. So I'm just cross multiplying there, right? Cross multiply. So 117 plus x equals 7 times 16, which is 112. Sorry, I went a little fast there. I'll minus the 117. I'll minus the 117. And we get, I'll just write this on the side just in case you can't see, x equals negative 5. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, does that make sense? Right? We took our sum of all our numbers, we divided by 7, and we found out that when we did that, x equals negative 5. But what did I say in the beginning, or what did the question say? It says the average of 7 distinct positive. That means the missing number isn't positive. It had to be negative for this average to be 16. So we get rid of B. B doesn't work. Now I'm getting a little scrunched on space here. Hopefully I can get this done without you guys losing your eyesight here. Let's try 5 numbers. So I'm going to put 5 numbers here. So it says the average, let's look at 5 numbers that can be greater than 16. So that's going to be 17 plus 18 plus 19 plus 20 plus 21. That's only 5 numbers, so we still have 2 more, plus x plus y. And I think I'm going off the side of the page here, so let me just move it over. So there's our numbers. We have the 5 above, and then we have x and y. What are we dividing by? We're dividing by 7. And our average is still going to be 16. Okay? So again, from before we found out that 7 times 16, we got 112, right? So now we just got to add up 17 plus 16, or excuse me, 17 plus 18 plus 19 plus 20 plus 21 equals, and you should get 95. All I did was I added up all this stuff up here. That's 95 plus x plus y, and that whole thing, I wrote a little farther away, but 95 plus x plus y equals 112. Let's minus the 95, minus the 95, and we should get x plus y is equal to 112 minus 95, and we get 17. So is it possible that we could have 2 numbers that add up to 17? Yeah, that's possible. 2 positive numbers can equal 17. So let me slide it back. that means that C is your right answer. Because you can have 5 numbers that are greater than 16, and you got to have at least 2 numbers that are less than 16 that are positive. And in this case, that's possible. So again, you can go through the explanation if that was a little weird or if I went a little fast, but C is going to be your correct answer. Let's go to another one. This one says, if the average of L numbers is M, what is the sum of these numbers? And what you can do is, a nice tip, when you see variables, you can choose numbers for those variables. I'm not going to do that in this case. I'm just going to plug into the average formula. So it says the average of L numbers is M. So here's my average. That's equal to the sum. And I can just write sum in there. I'm adding all the things up, so that's the sum, divided by, well, how many numbers do we have? It says L. We have L numbers. So now I can put that over 1 and cross multiply. So my sum is equal to M times L. And that's it, you're done. A nice algebraic way to get a problem or a more difficult problem done fast. So my sum is equal to ML, choice B. Okay, let's do our third and final one. Sam's average score on 4 tests was an 80. If he wants to raise his average to an 84, what score must he receive on his next test? So to do this one, again, you can pause the video to try it on your own. I'm going to go through the explanation. It seems like we're going to need 2 different equations, so let's work on making our 2 different equations. Sam's average score on 4 tests was an 80. So 80 is going to equal the sum. I don't know what that is, but I've got 4 tests, right? And then my other one, if he wants to raise his average to an 84, so 84 is going to be equal, now it's still the same sum, but I'm adding a test, right? There's going to be some new test. And how many tests am I dividing by now? Well, originally it was 4, but since I'm adding a new test, we're going to divide by 5. So this is where cross multiplying definitely helps you out. We have our 2 equations. I'm going to cross multiply them both so I can isolate. So what's good about that, in this one, we get the sum is equal to 320. Very important that we got that. Let me just make that a little more clear. In this one, we're going to cross multiply. So 84 times 5. So we get, I'm going to write this over here, sum plus x equals 420. I don't know if I said 425 before, but 84 times 5 is 420. We know our sum is equal to 320, so we could plug that in, right? Here's our sum. Let's plug that into the other one. So 320 plus x equals 420. We're going to minus the 320, minus the 320, crosses out, and 420 minus 320, x equals 100. So this guy Sam, he has to get 100 on his next test to raise his average from an 80 to an 84. Okay, I hope this lesson on difficult problems helped you out. A couple of things just to pay attention to. Sometimes you might have to do 2 different average formulas. And on the harder ones, they're always asking you to solve for the sum. So you can literally write just sum in there. Even though you don't know what it is, you can just call it the sum. On this one, you can choose numbers. So if you didn't like the algebraic way, you can always choose numbers for L and M. And on this one, kind of a complicated problem, but one of the tips, start at the top. If you want to at most, start at the biggest number and eliminate and work your way to the right answer. Alright, so I hope this helped you guys out. I'll talk to you soon.